Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Ramble Shrapnel. Unfortunately, you guys probably noticed that it's been a while since we released these little episodes or bits and pieces, but we're working to finally bring you guys some more of the conversations that you guys really care about, because this is where we take your community feedback and try to expound a little bit on the ideas that you sling our way, or maybe a little bit of something that we forgot to mention inside the episode. Today, we didn't feel that much like we were in the mood really for listening to what you guys had to say. So we're just going to take it in our own direction. The topic for today is again space colonization. And although Mackie and I in the main episode did try to talk a bit more about, let's call it, conventional ways about exploring the great unknown or the final frontier, I think that today it would be really cool if we try to look at a few unconventional ways that we can achieve the same thing that most people try not to go towards because of, let's just say, the risk benefit analysis and maybe not the expenses. Like my one is actually, I would think, reduces the expenses somewhat, but yeah, we'll see where it goes. So Mackie, how are you today?
Doing good, doing good. It's
Cool.
exciting to finally get some of these shrapnels out of the way.
Yeah. So how much do you think about going to space or colonizing space?
I think definitely it's something I've always considered because obviously I'm very excited and I love learning new things. And I think space is definitely the next stepping point for an idea as a whole. If we don't go to our deepest, darkest oceans, but still, space is very much a place that we should consider exploring a bit more. And thanks to some billionaires like Elon Musk, we are making great strides towards space exploration.
One would hope. Okay.
Mm.
Yeah. So, do you have any ideas about unconventional ways to go to space, or do you think that I should head this one up?
I think you should head it up because I do have two ones, and I'm very curious if you speak of the same ones that I'm thinking of.
Okay. So, the very first one that I thought of, which I've kind of thought of a little bit in the past, but not too hard, so this will be a bit new for me as well, is that I think one of the biggest problems about us colonizing the rest of space is that it takes an exponential amount of fuel in order for us to get really far distances, like light year distances throughout space. And I don't think that we can avoid the trouble that space is still very unknown to us. Not nearly as unknown as the ocean, but I think that it can be a bit difficult to navigate in 3D space in that way. It's not like we can just choose something on the cardinal plane and just go in a direction. Instead, like with 3D, you can be off by such a tiny amount in your heading that you can miss something light years away completely. And so I actually don't think that should be something that we need to worry about, because I don't think that we can tackle it. And why think about something that you have no chance of actually tackling? So my solution to this is that we just need to be patient for a little bit in order to perform the most ambitious kamikaze mission ever. And and that is that we just wait until a comet gets really close to Earth. Then we don't need to expend that much fuel. We just need a few people who are willing to die for science, and we send them to the comet so that they can piggyback off the comet into wherever the hell comet goes into space. So my solution to space colonization is that you just send random seeds of terrestrial life on these spaceships to go onto the comets and see wherever the hell it goes. It's actually pretty likely that you could start colonies on comets as little seeds, I think, because comets have water on them. They have huge amounts of water. And they're also very mineral rich. So if you could make some kind of a biosphere or something on a comet, then, well, maybe you'd need to take some earth soil with you, but it doesn't really need to have microbes or anything, because the comets would have enough minerals on it. It's just I don't know if they would have dust and dirt, because that stuff would fly off of the comet. But otherwise, there could be some kind of awesome technology where, let's say you attach some kind of let's say you attach your dome or your ship to the back of the comet inside the wake of the comet, which is like there's particles of water and stuff behind the comets. That's the whole reason why they have the tail. So if you think about it logically, that's a whole bunch of nutrients okay, not nutrients, minerals and elements that are flying in your direction if you're in the wake. So all you need is like some kind of a water harvester to pick up the water molecules, and a mineral harvester as well. So it'll probably be a net or a mesh of some kind. And then you can use that in order to keep yourself alive and give the minerals and nutrients, maybe not nutrients because that needs life, but at least the minerals that plants need as well, to grow. And you can make a living ecosystem or something in the wake of a comet. And then you just see where it goes. Like if it goes close enough to another planet in 1,000 years, then then you guys just like detach the thing and land on that planet, see what happens. Naturally, you'd want some like a science lab, or maybe like a observatory kind of affair, so that you can at least analyze the prospects and viability of planets that you're actually flying past to see whether they will be able to support human life, at least to a marginal degree, because it might be a bit ambitious to expect that any planets will support life as we want. But surely we'll find something that is easier to I forgot the word, making something like Earth, terraform that is easier to do than Mars. And we're trying to do Mars at the moment. So even if we find something that's like 30% easier to terraform than Mars, I think it would be worth it, even if it's in 1,000 years. As far as like the rest of humanity won't be bothered by the fact that this seed is flying through space. You know, so many hundreds of thousands of people die. Well, okay, maybe not that much. So many thousands of people die every single day. Like a team of 20 people isn't going to make a scratch on the surface. So we should send like space seeds all over the place on comets, and they can just colonize in 1,000 or 2,000 years. It doesn't matter how many generations it takes. Yeah. So that's working. That's working with a very strict goal of just colonizing space. I don't know if we'd be able to talk to them again, but that doesn't matter to me. My goal is just to colonize space. So before quantum entanglement and communicating that way, I don't think that we'll ever be able to contact them again.
Yeah, it's definitely a one-way trip, and the likelihoods that we'll never, ever, ever, ever see those people again, due to the fact that depending on how far they traveled on that single comet, provided that comet they can find some like water and other resources within it.
Yeah.
So
here's the basic
idea.
Summary of the pros of my thing. Well, and the cons. Cons: you die. You never come back. You never talk to the world again. And the pros are that in terms of price to distance, that's unlimited because you sure it costs a lot of money to get a team of people. Okay, just escape velocity and onto the comet. You probably don't even need to have a large enough population of people to be able to sustain it for like 100 generations or whatever. All we need to do is send a whole bunch of people with a bunch of sperm cells and egg cells. Then you don't need to have them breeding and stuff. So we don't need to worry about incest. That's what I'm trying to get at, people. Um,
Mm. I'm pretty sure it's going to come to that one point.
probably, but I don't think we need to worry about mutant babies. That's what I mean. Um, and And the pros are that it'll be much cheaper to get that distance because, like, the distance is unlimited if you're piggybacking off of the comet. And yeah, we actually colonize space.
Mm, okay. I think there's obviously, as I mentioned before, a lot of pros and cons, but I don't think it's a bad idea. Especially the fact that you take advantage of the comet's already projectile velocity, and the fact that that in space that your velocity technically would be infinite.
Mm.
There are like the potential worst case scenarios, which I would love to touch on, is where the comet is flying through and then goes past another comet and says, guys, we're about to hit that comet. And the humanity is literally just sitting there waiting for the end days.
But that's the thing. Space is space. It's difficult to imagine the vastness of space, and
Mm-hmm.
although you can make these hypothetical scenarios, that's very much in the the mindset of how close physical objects are to each other on Earth. But out
True.
in space, geez, I don't even think it would be much of an exaggeration to say that collisions of any kind between any celestial bodies is probably something like 0.02% of the time, if even that big,
Mm,
just because space is so vast. Does that make sense?
100%.
Maybe I'm
No,
pulling stuff out of my ass here, but that seems very likely to me.
I'd just love to see another like potential era that could really jeopardize humanity because for the small team of 20, you have to sacrifice quite a bit of human resources just to make sure they at least have a chance of thriving, not just surviving, but or maybe surviving, but to a point where they can survive long enough to for something else to appear that they can get to, and that's the mission to the comets. Hopefully, it's a comet not moving too fast, but not too slow, that humanity can fly their rocket right up to it and not explode on impact. That would be pretty cool. I like that idea.
It's fine. It's fine. We've been to the moon and stuff before. We'll figure that out.
Oh, that is a really cool concept, though. Like, I won't lie, I would think, oh man, if that happens, that would be so cool. We might explode, but at least we tried.
Yeah, I actually think it could work. You just have like some kind of a tether to a comet, and then you fly comet, and then you're flying in the wake, um, like in a cocoon of sustainability, kind of.
But what if we get one of the asteroids that are not like really flying past us, we bring it close to Earth, but not to the point that it's being pulled to Earth's gravity, and then we attach rockets on the back of the comet, and when we have like the comet established, like people, we transferring resources and building like hey, we got farms going, they activate the rockets on the asteroid, and then they just let the asteroid fly once the rockets run out of fuel. And we made our own,
I
I would
don't.
say, the fake comets flying through space.
Yeah, I don't know if that's viable. And although look, you're an engineer here, but I don't think that combustion works that way. I don't think that um, I don't think that you can infinitely increase the speed of a moving object in even a vacuum with any kind of fuel source,
Uh,
because
you,
I'm sure that every kind of fuel source has a maximum speed at which it can send something.
yes, but the fact is that you're right. The only thing that stays constant is acceleration. So acceleration would not go beyond a certain level, but velocity, because acceleration is the increase of velocity, the the velocity would increase linearly. So basically, you would get infinite amount of velocity. Acceleration would remain constant, like you wouldn't get higher acceleration because you're moving faster. But yes, you would move faster and faster and faster and faster and faster to the point once you run out of fuel situation.
Yeah, well, then if we're looking at the cost benefits analysis of the resource expenditure, then I think that your argument of how expensive it would be to get to the comet applies to this as well.
Oh,
Because any
100%,
kind
but at
of
least this one has a higher chance of success.
no, but what I mean is any kind of boost we try to give to the comet would actually be negligible. So it would be wasted expenses. The whole reason why
True.
we're piggybacking off of the comet is because it's already moving at such a high velocity.
Wait, are we talking about like these like really fast flying comets?
All
How are we
comets
supposed
are
to
like
land on
that.
this thing?
The only reason why they look super slow to us is because they're so far away.
Yeah, I know,
So
but that's what I'm saying. How do we even attempt to land on this thing?
trajectory calculation. That's the only way it goes. But maybe look, we're not trying to land on it if we want to somehow tether ourselves to the back. So if you imagine going towards the comet, right, then you're actually trying to aim for somewhere directly behind the comet in the wake, so that the gravity of the comet starts to pull the ship towards the comet as well, and then you just propel the ship towards the comet so that the relative speed to the comet is enough so that you can actually attach, so that there isn't so much g-forces that everybody just, I don't know, squishes or something and breaks themselves with the actual attachment process. Does that make sense?
It does. I would still love the science behind this.
Yeah. So I think it's a little bit like imagine there's something that's going directly upwards at 100 kilometers an hour. If you were to try to attach yourself to that thing, then your goal would probably be something like to intersect that thing's trajectory at 95 kilometers an hour, because maybe you could catch yourself at like 5 kilometers an hour, because that's the difference there. But anyway, we're getting a bit technical over there. Everybody, let us know what you think about that idea in general. We did kind of already overlap this episode's time, but let us know if you want to know Mackie's idea as well, and let us know the viability of this. The comments are down below, and if you like this, please like, comment, subscribe, and maybe give us a 5-star review for other platforms that don't allow liking, like Apple and Spotify. Bye everyone.
Bye bye. Don't get hit by an asteroid.